Pero estábamos hablando anoche de que tú eres nueva. Seguro no tienes ningún amigo con quien pedir dulces y te asustan los chicos agresivos y pensamos que no habría problema si vinieras con nosotros.
Will the new girl Max accept Dustin's and Lucas's invitation to go trick-or-treating with them, or will she reject them? Stay tuned to find out as you learn great conversational Spanish. Comencemos.
Hola Max, soy Dustin y él es...
Lucas.
Sí, ya sé, los acosadores.
De hecho, no te estamos
No,
acosando.
solo estábamos preocupados porque eres nueva en la escuela y ya sabes.
Sí, por tu seguridad.
Aquí los chicos son muy agresivos.
¿Cuánta agresividad? ¡Qué locura!
Sí,
¿Por eso traen equipo de protones?
estos no funcionan, pero tengo una trampa muy sencilla. Mira esto. Además, se abre y se cierra. Mira. ¡Hola! Es sensacional, ¿no? ¿No? Ok. Pero estábamos hablando anoche de que tú eres nueva. Seguro no tienes ningún amigo con quien pedir dulces y te asustan los chicos agresivos y pensamos que no habría problema si vinieras con nosotros. Hola Max, soy Dustin y él es...
Lucas.
Sí, ya sé, los acosadores.
Sí, ya sé, los acosadores. Ya sé here means I know. Ya literally translates to already or by now. Sé is a form of the verb saber, which means to know. So, the expression ya sé literally means I already know. Ya sé is a commonly used expression to acknowledge that you are aware of something. It can even convey a sense of impatience or annoyance. If someone were to be truly exasperated, then they would say ya lo sé, which means I already know it, and emphasizes the fact that they're already aware of whatever they're hearing.
Hola Max, soy Dustin y él es...
Lucas.
Sí, ya sé, los acosadores.
De hecho, no te estamos
No,
acosando.
solo...
De hecho, no te estamos acosando. If we're watching this clip on FluentU, we can click on de hecho and see that in this context, it means actually or in fact. And we can scroll through a list of other videos where the expression de hecho is used in the same way. We can even watch Lucas say de hecho in another Stranger Things episode.
Muy enferma, por eso de hecho estamos aquí.
De means of, and hecho in this context means fact, but it's also a form of the verb hacer, to do, which means done. So, de hecho literally translates to of fact. However, it's a fixed expression that can mean in fact, actually, or as a matter of fact. De hecho is often used to clarify a statement or provide additional information. Other Spanish phrases you could use to convey the same meaning could be en realidad. For example, no es amarillo. En realidad es verde. Or en efecto. For example, en efecto, ellos dos son chicos.
De hecho, no te estamos
No,
acosando.
solo estábamos preocupados porque eres nueva en la escuela y ya sabes.
No, solo estábamos preocupados porque eres nueva en la escuela y ya sabes. Solo estábamos preocupados here means we were only worried. Solo can mean different things depending on how it's used, like simply, only, and alone. These FluentU subtitles let us know that solo in this context is being used as an adverb, so it means simply or just, like in this other Stranger Things clip.
¿Qué hice mal? ¿Qué hice
Mike,
mal?
alto. Relájate. Solo relájate, ¿ok?
Estábamos is the past tense of the verb estar, which means to be. Preocupados means concerned or worried. Preocupados is an adjective that comes from the verb preocupar, which means to worry or to concern. False friend alert, preocupados doesn't mean preoccupied. It always means worried or concerned. If you mean preoccupied, the right word is ocupado. Ya sabes means you know, and it's a common way to say that the listener is already familiar with the concept being mentioned, and it gives a casual tone to the conversation. Sabes is a form of the verb saber, which means to know. It's conjugated in the second person singular tú, which is used when speaking informally. Since Dustin and Lucas are talking to another kid their age, using tú instead of the formal usted makes a lot of sense. In this case, Dustin is using ya sabes as a filler while he tries to come up with a good excuse.
No, solo estábamos preocupados porque eres nueva en la escuela y ya sabes,
Sí, por tu seguridad.
aquí los chicos son muy agresivos.
Sí, por tu seguridad. Aquí los chicos son muy agresivos. Por tu seguridad here means for your safety. Por here means for. It's used to express the reasons behind something. Tu means your. Seguridad here means safety. However, this noun can also mean security, as in el nuevo sistema de seguridad. So the meaning of seguridad can vary depending on the context. Aquí means here. It refers to the specific location or environment where they are at, the school. It's important to remember that there's a difference between aquí, ahí, and allí. Aquí, or here, is used when talking about something that is close by, or a place where you are at. Ahí translates to there, and it's used when referring to something that is a bit further away. Finally, we have allí, which can also be translated as there, or over there, and it's used when talking about something that is truly far away. A colloquial way of saying allí is allá. For example, no veo lo que pone allá.
Sí, por tu seguridad.
Aquí los chicos son muy agresivos.
¿Cuánta agresividad? ¡Qué locura!
Sí,
Cuánta agresividad, qué locura. Cuánta agresividad here means so much aggressiveness. Cuánta means what or how much, and it can be used to indicate a large amount or degree of something. When cuánta is followed by a noun like agresividad or aggressiveness, in this case, it translates to so much. Lucas is using cuánta to emphasize how aggressive boys around there are. If this statement was actually framed as a question, ¿cuánta agresividad? Then it would mean how much aggressiveness? ¡Qué locura! Here translates to it's so crazy. Que typically means what, that, or which. However, que in this sentence is used to intensify the adjective that follows, which is why it's replaced by so in English. Locura is a noun that means madness or craziness. So, que locura literally means what madness. Since Lucas is in middle school, it makes more sense for him to say something like it's so crazy rather than it's madness.
¡Cuánta agresividad! ¡Qué locura!
sí,
¿Por eso traen equipo de protones?
¿Por eso traen equipo de protones? Por eso traen here means that's why you brought. Por usually translates to of or for. If we click on por eso on these interactive subtitles, we can see that when por is followed by eso, that, the phrase por eso can translate to that's why, for that reason, or because of that. And we can see the phrase being used in some other context, so you get used to it and remember it later. This handy-dandy tool is FluentU, an app for learning Spanish with authentic videos, including movie scenes, clips from TV shows, TED Talks, and music videos. FluentU has thousands of videos, all of which have subtitles written by language experts, so you always see the correct definitions for words and expressions in that specific context, plus video examples of native speakers using the vocab. FluentU also creates personalized quizzes and speaking questions to make sure you practice everything you learn, including pronunciation. Try it now for free. Just sign up for a 2-week trial using the link in the description below. Plus, FluentU is currently having a sale, so it's the perfect time to check it out. Back to our line, por eso traen equipo de protones. Traen comes from the verb traer, which means to bring or to carry. Traen is conjugated in the third person plural ustedes, since Max is talking to both Dustin and Lucas. Keep in mind that while the singular usted is formal, the plural ustedes can be used for both formal and informal conversation.
¿Por eso traen equipo de protones?
estos no funcionan. Pero tengo una trampa muy sencilla. Mira esto.
Estos no funcionan, pero tengo una trampa muy sencilla. Mira esto. Estos means these, and it's the plural of esto. Esto refers to something or someone close by. For example, estos bolígrafos son míos. Despite being able to use estos to refer to both objects and people, it's considered informal and even rude to refer to someone in that manner. So keep in mind that while you can say estos dos, it's more polite if you say ellos dos. Mira esto means look at this. Mira comes from the verb mirar, which means to look. Mira esto is a casual and friendly way to say check this out, used to draw someone's attention to something cool or interesting.
Estos no funcionan, pero tengo una trampa muy sencilla. Mira esto. Además, se abre y se cierra. Mira.
Además, se abre y se cierra. Mira. Además here means also. Además is a useful word to connect ideas, since it can also be translated to besides or furthermore. Other words you can use that mean the same thing are también. For example, también quiero unas patatas fritas. Or asimismo. For example, asimismo querría darle las gracias. Además may sound like three words, a plus de plus más. But remember that it's just one word and it must never be spelled separately, or the expression would have no meaning. Mira, te puedes suscribir al canal para aprender más español. You can subscribe to this channel so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos, like Learn Spanish with Shrek.
Además, se abre y se cierra. Mira. ¡Voilà! Es sensacional, ¿no? ¿No? Ok.
Voilà es sensacional, ¿no? Voilà here means boom. Voilà is a recently coined term in Spanish that comes from the French voilà. Voilà is used to express satisfaction or to reveal something, in this case, the trap's mechanism. Voilà could be translated as ta-da, boom, or even be kept as voila. No here means right. No generally means no. In this case, however, the no at the end of the sentence is used as a way to make a statement into a question, since the speaker is uncertain about what they're saying and seeks reassurance or confirmation from the listener. In English, you add right or isn't it at the end of a sentence to achieve the same effect. Other ways you could achieve this in Spanish besides saying no would be saying a que sí or cierto. Cultural tip, Spanish speakers often use questions to make their statements sound more friendly and engaging. So don't hesitate to add verdad or no at the end of your sentences to make them more conversational.
¡Voilà! Es sensacional, ¿no? ¿No? Ok. Pero estábamos hablando anoche de que tú eres nueva.
Pero estábamos hablando anoche de que tú eres nueva. Hablando de que means talking about how. Hablando is a form of the verb hablar, which means to talk or to speak. De means of or about, and que means how in this context. Hablar de and hablar de que are fixed expressions in Spanish which always mean to talk about. So you can say, están hablando de anoche, or están hablando de que se van mañana. Or even, están hablando sobre ti.
Pero estábamos hablando anoche de que tú eres nueva. Seguro no tienes ningún amigo con quien pedir dulces.
Seguro no tienes ningún amigo con quien pedir dulces. Seguro here means probably. Seguro can mean different things depending on how it's used and the context it's in. Seguro is often used to express certainty or confidence about something. However, Dustin isn't saying that Max is unpopular or a loner. Instead, he's saying that she probably hasn't made any friends yet, since she just started going to their school. Which is why here, seguro translates to probably instead of surely. When seguro is used as an adverb, like in this line, it can also mean for sure. For example, seguro que van a venir. If used as an adjective, seguro means safe, secure, or certain. For example, nunca he estado tan seguro. If used as a noun, seguro means insurance. For example, el seguro médico. Seguro que les encanta nuestro PDF gratis. It allows you to easily access and study all the vocabulary that we have learned in this video. Get it by clicking on the link in the description below.
Seguro no tienes ningún amigo con quien pedir dulces y te asustan los chicos agresivos y pensamos que no habría problema si vinieras con nosotros.
Y te asustan los chicos agresivos. Y pensamos que no habría problema si vinieras con nosotros. Te asustan means you're scared of. Asustan comes from the verb asustar, which means to frighten or to scare. The verb asustar must always be performed on somebody. Asustar has to be accompanied by one of two things. A reflexive pronoun like me, le, os, nos, les, or te in this case. Reflexive pronouns are often used when the subject and the object of the verb are the same. For example, te asustan los payasos. Or asustar must be followed by a. For example, voy a asustar a Max. Si vinieras con nosotros means if you came with us. Si, without an accent, means if. Vinieras comes from the verb venir, which means to come. It's conjugated in the second person singular tú, referring to Max. Con means with, while nosotros means us. The sentence si vinieras con nosotros uses the subjunctive mood vinieras to both express a hypothetical situation and the boy's uncertainty. In Spanish, it's common to use this mood when talking about desires, doubts, recommendations, and other non-factual situations. For example, si viniera Rosalía, iría al festival.
Y te asustan los chicos agresivos y pensamos que no habría problema si vinieras con nosotros.
¿Que no habría problema?
¿Que no habría problema? Que no habría problema here means that it wouldn't be a problem. Que in this context means that. No means not, since it's used to negate the following word. Habría is a form of the verb haber, which means to be. Habría is in its conditional form, which indicates a hypothetical situation. Problema means problem. So, que no habría problema literally means that there would not be a problem. As you can see, the que isn't used at the beginning of the sentence to show that it's a question, but to add emphasis, similar to how you use so in English in the beginning of a question. For example, que no habrá problema.
¿Que no habría problema?
Sí, nuestro grupo es una democracia y votamos que viniera.
Sí, nuestro grupo es una democracia y votamos que vinieras. Votamos que here means we voted for. Votamos is a form of the verb votar, which means to vote. It's conjugated in the first person plural nosotros, referring to the friend group. Be careful though, because there's another verb, votar, except it's written with a B, which sounds exactly the same in Spanish. Votar with a B means to bounce, so it's usually easy to tell which one is being used by context alone. Que means that. In Spanish, you always say votar que when voting for something. For example, voto que sea nuestra amiga. However, when voting for someone, you say votar a. For example, voto a Max. The word voto can also literally mean a vote.
Sí, nuestro grupo es una democracia y votamos que viniera.
No sabía que era un gran honor ir a pedir dulces con ustedes.
No sabía que era un gran honor ir a pedir dulces con ustedes. Ir a pedir dulces here means go trick-or-treating. The verb ir means to go. A means to. Pedir can either mean to ask, to request, or to order. Dulces means sweets or candy. It comes from the adjective dulce, which means sweet. Ir a pedir dulces literally means to go to ask for sweets. This is obviously referring to going trick-or-treating. Halloween hasn't always been celebrated in Spanish-speaking countries, but it's gaining popularity. So, while there's no official widespread expression to say go trick-or-treating, when a kid goes to a house to ask for candy, it's customary to say truco o trato, which literally means trick or deal, and is of course the Spanish version of trick or treat. Fun fact, in Mexico, it's much more common and traditional to celebrate Día de los Muertos than to celebrate Halloween.
No sabía que era un gran honor ir a pedir dulces con ustedes.
Sí, bueno, sabemos dónde dan los dulces grandes.
Sí, bueno, Sabemos dónde dan los dulces grandes. Bueno here means well. While bueno as an adjective means good or kind, bueno as an interjection means well, like in this line. It's a casual and informal way to sound more nonchalant about what you're about to say. Bueno can also be used as an adverb to mean anyway or right. Donde dan here means where they give out. Donde means where. Dan is a form of the verb dar, which means to give, or, in this case, since it refers to giving candy, to give out. Dan is conjugated in the third person plural, ellos, referring to the people giving out candy on Halloween.
Sí, bueno, sabemos dónde dan los dulces
Sí.
grandes. Pensamos que querrías unos.
Pensamos que querrías unos. Pensamos que querrías unos here means we thought you'd want some. Pensamos comes from the verb pensar, which means to think. Que means that. Querrías comes from the verb querer, which means to want. Querrías is in the conditional form, so it translates to would want. Querrías is conjugated in the second person singular tú, referring to Max. Unos here means some. It is not a form of the number one, uno, since numbers cannot be made plural by adding an s. Using the conditional is a common way to make a polite request or talk about a hypothesis, like in this case, where Dustin is saying that they figured she would want to go where the big candy bars are.
Pensamos que querrías unos.
Qué pretenciosos.
Sí, por completo.
Qué pretenciosos. Sí, por completo. Que here means how. Que is being used as a way to amplify the adjective pretencioso or pretentious instead of as a part of the question. Por completo here means totally. Por means of or by, while completo means complete or total. Por completo is a fixed expression that can refer to two things. It can be used to emphasize the speaker's full agreement with a statement, in which case, por completo can translate to totally or for sure, like in this scene. Or it can also be used as an adverb, in which case, por completo means altogether or thoroughly.
Qué pretenciosos.
Sí, por completo. Entonces, ¿vendrás?
Entonces vendrás? Vendrás means you'll come. Vendrás is the future form of the verb venir, which means to come. If vendrás were not in between question marks, it would be in the imperative, and it would be an order. For example, mañana vendrás a recogerme a las 7. However, since it is inside a question, in this case it's used as an invitation. In Spanish, you can simply add the question mark to make a statement into a question, without changing the word order, like you have to do in English.
Entonces, ¿vendrás? Nos veremos en la calle cerrada de Maple a las 7. 7 en punto.
Nos veremos en la calle cerrada de Maple a las 7, 7 en punto. Nos veremos en here means we'll meet at, but can also be translated to we'll see each other at. Nos refers to the subject nosotros. Veremos is a future tense of the verb ver, which means to see or to meet. Veremos is conjugated in the first person plural nosotros. En means in or at. Nos veremos en is a way to establish where they're going to meet to go trick-or-treating. In this case, the Maple cul-de-sac. Another conversational way you can establish a meeting place is by using the expression quedar en. For example, quedaremos en esa calle.
Nos veremos en la calle cerrada de Maple a las 7. 7 en punto. Pretenciosos. Eso es bueno, ¿no? ¿Es malo?
Pretenciosos. Eso es bueno, ¿no? ¿Es malo? Eso es bueno, ¿no? Here means that's good, right? Eso means that. Es is a form of the verb ser, which means to be. Es is in the present tense and it's conjugated in the third person singular eso. So it translates to is. Bueno, this time is being used as an adjective instead of as an interjection, like in the previous case. So here it means good. Now let's watch the whole scene without subtitles so you can see how much you've learned.
Hola Max, soy Dustin y él es...
Lucas.
Sí, ya sé, los acosadores.
De hecho, no te estamos
No,
acusando.
solo estábamos preocupados porque eres nueva en la escuela y ya sabes,
Sí, por tu seguridad.
aquí los chicos son muy agresivos.
¿Cuánta agresividad? ¡Qué locura!
Sí,
¿Por eso traen equipo de protones?
estos no funcionan, pero tengo una trampa muy sencilla. Mira esto. Además, se abre y se cierra. Mira. ¡Hola! Es sensacional, ¿no? ¿No? Ok. Pero estábamos hablando anoche de que tú eres nueva. Seguro no tienes ningún amigo con quien pedir dulces. Y te asustan los chicos agresivos. Y pensamos que no habría problema si vinieras con nosotros.
¿Que no habría problema?
Sí, nuestro grupo es una democracia y votamos que vinieras.
No sabía que era un gran honor ir a pedir dulces con ustedes.
Sí, bueno, sabemos dónde dan los dulces
Sí.
grandes. Pensamos que querrías unos.
Qué pretenciosos.
Sí, por completo. Entonces, ¿vendrás? Nos veremos en la calle cerrada de Maple a las 7. 7 en punto. Pretenciosos. Eso es bueno, ¿no? ¿Es malo?
In this next video, Max and Eleven find out what their ex-boyfriends, Lucas and Mike, say about them when they're not there. So go watch that video to find out what happens in that Stranger Things episode and enjoy more Max and Lucas scenes as you learn more conversational Spanish.